Oh boy. You know, usually on this channel I prefer to be more on the positive and optimistic side, just because I think we have enough negativity everywhere, but, well, let's just start at the beginning. So it's been a couple weeks since Zenless released, and I have been playing every day. We got up to level 40, whatever it is now that I'm recording. I finished almost everything there is to do in the game, besides the super in-game content like Hollow Zero and Shiyu Defense. I want to talk about my thoughts on the various parts of the game, starting with the story and the medium in which it was told. The story didn't captivate me at all, and perhaps I should have given it more of a chance, but after chapter 1 I just started skipping everything. I did read the little summary pop-up that comes up when you skip, but by the end it just left me with nothing. I can't tell you what happened. That is primarily to say the story wasn't my cup of nuts. Typically chapter 1 and the prologue is where you need to hook the player, get them to actually care about what's happening, get them invested. And for me, they didn't. The medium in which they told the story was also a bit overwhelming. They have these side-by-sides, talking in overworld, animations, comic book panel type things. They can DM you on your phone, in the TV room stuff where some story takes place, and in combat dialogue as well. Some of the dialogue's voice acted, some of it's not, so it just, I don't know, it kind of felt all over the place. I do respect them for trying out new things and being a little experimental, but for me it was just too much. If you do find yourself enjoying the story, you'll probably like the game. I'd imagine without skipping anything, I'd have spent 90% of my playtime reading text. I do want to leave a word on the actual animations too. I thought action scenes were really well done, quite incredible actually. However, and this might be a hot take, but it is my 100% honest review, the casual conversation scenes were a little off-putting to me. Very Pixar-esque, I guess, and for some that's awesome, but for me it just felt a little out of place. Let's move on to combat, which is what I consider to be the most important aspect of the game, just due to the fact that if you do plan to play it long term and you get through all the story and everything, it's what you're going to be doing mostly. I loved it, actually. It was flashy, fast-paced, you felt like you were a badass, parrying enemies with assist moves, the animations in general are extraordinary, and it just felt good to play. Why was that all past tense? Unfortunately, it grew a bit stale a little faster than I hoped it would. Most of the enemies are very predictable once you've played them once or twice. The window for executing a perfect assist or dodge are, in my opinion, way too generous. It's to the point where, yes, at first you feel like a god, but when you can do it every time, it loses some of its charm. That excitement you feel from pulling off a perfect assist or dodge is diminished to basically nothing once you get the hang of it, which I think took way too little effort. Then there's the depth of combat and team rotations. Well, there isn't that much. It's basically a matter of stunning the enemies and doing everyone's switch attacks. Sure, you can do other things with your main DPS in the downtime between stuns, but the characters don't interact that much in general. Speaking of switch skills, they are really boring once you've done them 1,000 times. Sure, ultimate animations from other games are boring after a while too, but these switches can happen so many times per battle on longer fights. It's just the same 3 attacks with no control or strategy besides choosing a character. To me, it really breaks up the fast-paced flow of combat, and honestly, it's just annoying at this point. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it being more casual. It's easier to enjoy by more people, so you could argue it's objectively better than a complex system. But this is my review, and my enjoyment of combat was a little short-lived. And while it might seem like I hate combat, that's not true at all. It's still my favorite part of the game. It's just not as good as I felt like it was at first after putting several hours into it. Moving on to Gacha, another big part of games like these. I might be a little biased here due to having the worst luck imaginable on my summons thus far, but sticking to the facts, it's also pretty mediocre. Better than Genshin, but that bar is under the floor. On special banners with exclusive heroes, you have a pity at 90 with a 50-50 chance to get the exclusive hero. If you lose the coin flip, you're guaranteed the next time to get the exclusive hero. When it comes to exclusive weapon banners, or W engines in this case, pity is set to 80, but you have a 75% chance to get the exclusive weapon. If you lose that chance, you're guaranteed next time, much like characters. So while it's not worse than the other games, besides of course Wuthering Waves, it's not better, and I think that's unfortunate. Bang Boos, I suppose, could have been monetized, but these are completely free to get. You get Boopons via events and everything, so that is a plus point, though there isn't really an equivalent in the other Hoyo games, so I feel like it would have been too much, but I will give them credit for that because this could have actually just been another gacha. I lost the coin flip on Ellen at 77 pity, then got her at 79 pity due to guarantee. I also wanted her weapon and lost that 75% chance at 68 pity, and got got it next time at again 68 pity due to guarantee. In total, just for one character and their weapon, it cost 292 pulls. I didn't have to buy all of my pulls due to Zenless's launch rewards, but considering they won't be there next time and generally recurring rewards in these games are small, I think it's not too disingenuous to calculate what that would have cost had I paid for all my pulls. Each pull costs 160 polychromes, as it usually is, bringing our total to 46,720. You get 8,080 for every $100. So you need to buy 5.78 of these packs, or close to $600 for one character and one weapon. But yeah, these are standard practices in many gachas I play, so I feel a little weird calling Zenless out on it in particular, but at the end of the day, this is a review of Zenless in particular. We're gonna get a bit more into the nitty-gritty now, talking about various mechanics and content in the game. Firstly, in story mode, there's the option to enable challenge mode. This is weird. I played the entire story on this difficulty thinking I'd get something for it, maybe just some extra dinnies here and there, I don't know, but nope, nothing. Enemies are just tankier and hit harder. Difficulty options are normal in normal games, but in gachas where people go through huge efforts to make their characters stronger, to kill enemies faster, and some literally paying real money to do the same thing, it feels odd. I only have an issue that there's not a clear statement that rewards are not changed in any way. Otherwise, having the option is a net positive for people that want tankier enemies for some reason. Also, story mode related, the parts that heavily focused on moving through TVs was a massive slog. It just kept getting worse until it was over. Puzzles that were more of a just go here and do this rather than anything that actually required thinking. Long scenes where you're just forced to slowly watch things happen. The janky feel of moving, especially in the dark areas where you're forced to move one TV at a time. And also the fear you might miss one of these things and have to do it all over. Most of them are pretty hard to miss, like in main paths, but you don't know that until you're finished with the story. So there's that added little stress. The fact they have to tell you every single time that when you go up to one of these valves, it's not smart and you have to pay the gear coins. The only one you could not pay the gear coins was the very first one. With every other one, you have to pay the gear coins. Why do you have to tell me every single time? Just let me pay the gear coins. And in no way is that an exhaustive list of my reasons why I don't like the story mode gameplay stuff here, but off the top of my head. Also, the speed up button up here only helps a little and gets turned back off after every battle. Anyway, enough with that. Let's talk about Hollow Zero. I actually love this content. I have nothing really bad to say about it. Most of the TV moving problems are gone here as there's very little story, quote unquote puzzles or interruptions. There's strategy in where you go, which tiles you choose, understanding the positive and negative consequences, which buffs you choose. It all accumulates in a final battle using everything you acquired in the run to beat the boss. It's easily my favorite content in the game, and while yes, there is a focus on combat, which I was harsh towards earlier, combat is still generally fun. I just feel like unless they do something with switch skills, which I would have no solution for, it'll get old really fast. It's also possible my team just has longer than average switch skill animations, but since this is a gacha and making new teams to try out is very resource heavy, I haven't experimented that much. While we're talking about things I like, the soundtrack, music, and just sound design in general, I think is top tier. They have a massive variety of music and I think it all fits very well. But yeah, Hoyoverse and their music and sound and everything has always been top class, so I'm not really surprised. The drive disc system is fine, very much like all the other modern gachas, just under a different name. Relics in Star Rail, artifacts in Genshin, echoes in Wuwa. There's a little extra flexibility when it comes to Zenless though, since you have 6 drive discs and can only make a set with up to 4 of the same, giving you either 2 off pieces, 3 2-piece sets, or like I have here, 1 4-piece and 1 2-piece set. The same gripes are also present though, the RNG in substats primarily. It's stupidly difficult to get a perfect or even close to perfect disk drive due to the substats. Then multiply that by 6, then multiply again for each character you want to use. Again though, if you're used to systems like this, it's fine. Character design I feel like is very important for some. For me, it's not that huge of a thing, honestly. I will say though, there are less characters I like in Zenless compared to Genshin or Star Rail. To be fair, there really aren't that many right now. I was never a huge fan of actual anthropomorphic designs like Ben or the wolf dude, but this is a very subjective thing, you know. Other more normal characters, I guess, I feel still lack a little something that I can't put my finger on. Perhaps just a little basic. Overall, I feel like Zenless is objectively a solid game for being a gacha. I haven't run into any real bugs outside of of launch day where I had a very strange issue almost no one else had, so I'll chalk that up to something funky with my router. The story probably appeals to some, the animations all around are visually very good, the world, while small for now, is interesting, and I feel like there's enough content at launch. For me, the less than stellar things I mentioned don't make up for the things I like about it, so for now, it'll be a side game I play casually when I feel like it. For the Zenless enjoyers though, don't let this review spoil your milk. At the end of the day, what someone enjoys or doesn't enjoy is very personal. But that's where I'll leave this for now. There could be some things I left out just due to not thinking about them. I'm not in the habit of researching other reviews for the sake of making my own, as that feels a little pointless. But yeah, feel free to drop your own opinions in the comments below. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.